Welcome, everyone, and welcome to the latest episode of Geektopia. I'm your host, as always, Barry, and I'm joined today by fellow podcaster and friend, Matt.
Hey Barry, how you doing?
I'm very well, thank you. How are yourself?
I'm good.
I think today we're just going to talk about a bit of news, aren't we? Something that was actually officially announced as of yesterday, and that is we are getting a Superman film. We are going to be getting a new Superman film. The word reboot has actually cropped up many times on these articles that I think essentially this is going to be a reboot. And it's going to be produced by none other than J.J. Abrams. Now, I remember talking to you about this a while back, a few months ago, in fact, that J.J. Abrams has actually been, it's been flying around the internet quite a lot over the last few months, that J.J. has showed a lot of interest in writing or directing, producing, whichever, a Superman film. What's your kind of thoughts on this? What do you... All right, here's the big question. I think this is the question on a lot of people's lips. Henry Cavill, as this is a reboot, to me, that kind of heavily implies there's a good chance it ain't going to be Henry Cavill. What do you think?
Well, yeah. As soon as I saw, because I think I'd sent you the news yesterday or whatever, because I saw it as it was coming out, and started reading the title. New Superman film in the works at DC. Reboot was the thing that was obviously put onto that piece of news. And as soon as I saw the word reboot, I was like, it ain't Henry Cavill, because that's not how reboots work. I mean, essentially, right? If you reboot, if you label this film, I'm just talking about this kind of like functionally. If you label this film as a reboot, but then you put Henry Cavill back in as Superman, that's not a reboot. So as soon as I didn't even need to see like Henry Cavill not involved. As soon as it said reboot and not just new Superman film, I thought, okay, Cavill's out kind of thing. Because if the news had just simply been new Superman film in the works at DC, I would have thought like, oh, okay, that doesn't rule out Henry Cavill because it's just new Superman film. So that was kind of my thought process anyway. What did you think at the time?
Well, it's all a bit confusing because at the end of the day, Henry Cavill has actually still expressed a lot of interest in playing Superman. As far as he's concerned, he's still Superman. And, if we don't get Henry Cavill as Superman again, I think it's a real shame. Now, I'm not saying that Henry Cavill's the only person on the planet that can play this character. There's a lot of actors that can. But he's already established himself. He's cemented himself in that role. All right, he might not have had the best films with which to work. I mean, obviously, Man of Steel in 2013 was a divisive film. I liked it. I think it was one of them films, some people really liked it, some people really didn't care for it. But to me, it kind of feels, and with Batman v Superman again, divisive, it didn't really go down well with critics. It almost feels like they're worried they don't know what to do with Superman.
Yeah.
I mean, he's such an iconic character. Superman in himself is a selling point. I mean, the Man of Steel did well. Okay, it's not one of the highest grossing films of all time. It doesn't need to be. It did well. It did well enough. But generally speaking, it was kind of the reviews were quite mixed. I'd love to see him back. I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm really happy that we're getting a Superman film. At the end of the day, he's a character too big and iconic to be left alone for too long.
Yeah.
But ideally, I would like to see Cavill again because I don't, unfortunately, feel like Cavill's really had time to shine. I really don't. And J.J. Abrams, obviously big name, and I'm not sure if you've read about this guy. The guy that's actually writing it, I'm probably pronouncing his name wrong. Ta-Nehisi Coates is actually writing this movie. I don't know if you know much about this guy.
No, I've not heard of him myself.
He's a novelist, and he's most well known for his kind of like cultural, political issues. He's very kind of a political writer, particularly regarding...
So is it like he writes political novels or something?
Yes, and I believe he was actually like the national correspondent at The Atlantic as well. He particularly regarding, now I'm not going to get into a whole political thing here, but particularly regarding African Americans and white supremacy, etc.
Okay.
He's been very heavily involved in debates and such issues. He's the guy writing this film. I don't believe he actually has ever wrote anything for a film before.
That sounds.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want this to come across in the wrong way. It sounds more like a politician and a novelist than someone who would be suited to work on a film. Now, I don't even mean specifically a comic book film, but just a film. Because if you're doing like novels and you're involved in with politics as heavily as he kind of sounds, I mean, I don't want to judge the guy or whatever. I don't know anything about him other than kind of what I've read over the last day and what you've just said. But I don't know. Like, is it gonna work out to look at somebody like that and then say, okay, we want you to do a Superman film? I don't know. So we'll see.
Yeah. It's kind of I mean, I can't comment. I mean, I'd never heard of him before. Admittedly, the stuff that he writes isn't stuff that I read. So he's he's completely alien to me because I've never read any of his works. I mean, yes, I just want a good Superman film. I've got to be very careful about what I say here as well. With a character like Superman, such an iconic character, huge fan base. There's always going to be some nitpicking, I think. Same goes for Batman, whoever gets cast now. Yeah. I thought Henry Cavill was perfectly fine. I thought he was really good in that role. I know some people didn't take to him. They didn't really like the tone of Man of Steel. They felt it was too bleak and it was quite a contrast to the 1978 Richard Donner Superman film. A complete contrast. I don't know. I'm just a bit. It's like Henry Cavill. You've already got him. Do something with him.
Yeah,
do something with him.
Yeah, it's interesting because 2013 comes around, Man of Steel comes out, and then what was it? 2016 and 17 was BVS and Justice League. Obviously, we got the Snyder Cut to come, but that's just a previously filmed film and that. This just feels to me, at the end of the day, like you've wasted the potential here with Henry Cavill. Because what about if, let's say in a different situation, if Justice League had gone better, etc., etc., if Man of Steel 2 would have happened, and if Henry could have been in at least the Justice League 2, maybe some other future films as well. Like if obviously the DCEU had gone differently and had have gone better. But the thing is, even though we didn't get that situation of like Man of Steel 2, Justice League 2, a kind of normal continuation, you could still have had Henry Cavill return in some sort of way. Now, the film doesn't have to be called Man of Steel 2. Obviously, we're using that as an example of like the next solo film that he would have been in. Presumably, it would have been called. It could have been called something else. Who knows? But Man of Steel 2 was the suggested kind of title. One thing I do want to bring up as well, one thing that's kind of been talked about and murmured about sort of in the last couple of days, and really kind of in the last couple of years as well, and what this leads into one of the main questions I've had. It's a very simple question, which is, why could you not get Henry Cavill back? It's quite a simple question, really. Now, one of the things that's kind of talked about sometimes, not just with Henry Cavill, but like, let's say getting a person back for a particular project, whether it would be a game, film, show, comic book, whatever. Somebody who's important to that particular project, getting them back, right? Some of the things that sometimes pop up is like, oh, this person was difficult to work with, we couldn't get them back, whatever. Now, one of the points, well, I've not actually heard somebody say this about Henry Cavill, but before people do possibly start saying it, the excuse that can't be made to me or towards Henry is that he's difficult to work with. Now, there's clear kind of evidence for that, and I'll give you the evidence itself. This was all post-Justice League, so even past like Man of Steel and BVS and Justice League, this was all past that. He's worked with Netflix on 3 different occasions. One of them is currently. He did a whole first season of The Witcher, which was 8 episodes. Great show. You should watch it. It's on Netflix. He worked on Enola Holmes, which was also on Netflix. He played Sherlock Holmes and Enola's brother in the film, so he's also played as Sherlock Holmes as well. Just to add to his, already impressive resume, you've got Geralt of Rivia from The Witcher. You've got Superman. You've got Sherlock Holmes. Also, he was in Mission Impossible as well. That's where the whole mustache problem came from in Justice League. He's done that. He's done the film, and he's also still working with Netflix right now because he's doing season 2 of The Witcher. So I'm saying the potential excuse for like, oh, Henry was difficult to work with. No, you can throw that out the window because he's now been working consistently with Netflix for, let's say, a couple of years, probably. Because by the time we get to December this year, The Witcher will be 2 years old. So, any particular thoughts on that? Like him, because there's clear evidence to help him there.
I don't think it's a problem with Cavill. I just think it's they don't know what to do. Yeah. They just don't know what to do. There wasn't any solid groundwork put there. There wasn't like a clear direction in which they were going in. And with a character like Superman, I mean, you even go back, look at Superman 4 Quest for Peace. It's really not worth talking about. But that was Christopher Reeve's 4th and final film as Superman. Look at the big gap we had there between that and 2006's Superman Returns. Superman's, despite being an icon, I don't know. I think he's quite a tricky character to handle. The reason I say that is he's been around a long time, certainly, but there's a lot of people that see Superman as a bit of a cheesy character. I know that sounds ridiculous to say that, but I know a lot of people who Superman is too cheesy, too overpowered, all this, too white bread, as Batman said. Man of Steel was kind of a darker film, a more somber film than obviously people had become accustomed to and stuff. I feel like they're hesitant, like they don't quite know what kind of story to do and where to go. And obviously with Justice League massively underperforming, that threw a massive spanner in the works. I don't know, had BVS have taken off better with critics, had Justice League... I mean, we're getting the Snyder Cut soon, obviously, March the 18th, which I'm seriously excited for. Mm-hmm. From what I know, Cavill's a nice guy. He's got good work ethics. He seems like a nice guy. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there, but they're trying to throw so many eggs into the basket. I remember at one time they were announcing, it was like every couple of weeks or so they were announcing a new DC film.
I remember
Deathstroke,
that.
Batgirl, Nightwing, Lobo. Recently, this has been officially confirmed. In fact, Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle's getting his own film.
Plastic Man.
Look, I'm all for. Plastic Man.
Don't forget about Plastic Man.
None of these films have actually come to fruition. None of these movies have come any closer to development. And I'm like, all of these characters, don't get me wrong, if these were done right and all released within time without being rushed out, I'd love to see all these films. But what about Superman? Because we've already had a Man of Steel. How can Superman not get a follow-up film? Wonder Woman did. This is the difference. Wonder Woman did well. Wonder Woman, yes, it was a box office success, but the most important thing is it went down really well with critics and a lot of people.
You talking about the first one?
The 2017 film.
Yeah.
So Wonder Woman got one quite quickly. I'll say quite quickly. Obviously, it was delayed a few times because of the situation, but it was only a few years wait. Man of Steel will be 2 years old, will be 10 years old in a couple of years.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
But the same could be said for Batman. But, we've talked about this before, is that Batfleck, we're going to see the Snyder Cut. We're going to get to see Batfleck in that film, and I'm going to hold on to it. And, hopefully this film's going to be really good. It's certainly going to be a vast improvement on the 2017 film, I think. But I'm going to treasure it because this is probably, aside from the Flash film, which could be little more than a cameo, this is going to last time we see Batfleck. And he should have had his own solo film.
Yeah, definitely. One thing I kind of want to compare a minute is Batman and Superman in a particular way. What's interesting to me is the differences in time between news, and what I mean by that is Justice League happens. We still have, at that point, I think we had the Ben Affleck solo film on the table. He obviously stepped away because of the issues that he unfortunately had, because he was going to do all of it, wasn't he? He was going to write, direct, star.
He was going to co-write, I believe, with Jeff Johns.
Yeah.
He was going to direct. He was going to star. And if you remember when BBS came out, as soon as BBS came out, right? It was a box office hit and that, but it was only a few days later, all over the internet. Nothing was ever officially confirmed. A Batfleck trilogy. there was going to be 3 Batfleck films coming out, which got me, I took it with a pinch of salt, but just the prospect of it, just the potential of it had me quite excited.
Mm-hmm.
But look what happened there.
Yeah, but you had all that happen, right? And then it got cut down to, okay, it's going to be Matt Reeves. I think it was Matt Reeves, and then Ben Affleck, and then Ben Affleck like completely stepped away. It didn't take. No, I don't remember how much time exactly passed, and I'm going to bring this round to Superman in a second. I don't know how much time exactly had passed, but it wasn't that long before Robert Pattinson was cast. The interesting thing there to me is the kind of like, okay, quick, let's get this turned around and get a new Batman in the door kind of thing. The interesting thing there to me, you look at Batman and Superman. Now, Batman's a lot more of a commercial sort of hit, and that he's, like you said, Superman's been a bit more difficult to sort of adapt to screen in a way. But Batman, the DC will always try and make Batman films and that kind of thing, less so with
he's
TV.
The crown jewel.
He's the crown jewel. That's kind of the word I was looking for. So it was kind of quick with like, okay, Ben's out the role. Everyone wished him well and that kind of thing, obviously. And then it was like, hey, Robert Pattinson in the role. Matt Reeves directed his new Batman film. Bang, done. And then you go back to 2013. Man of Steel comes out. There was quiet at the time because we still had BVS about going to come out at some point. We still had Justice League. We still had Henry Cavill Superman content. And then pretty much, I don't know like how accurate this is necessarily, but from 2017 when Justice League didn't do well, any kind of news at all on any sort of, not even like Henry Cavill replacement or Superman reboot or new Superman cast or anything like that, all of that news went completely quiet for a good couple of years. It's just interesting to me but the interesting thing as well with that, with Superman on the film side, the news going really quiet. You did have Tyler's Superman that was he was kind of making cameos in Supergirl season 2 and onwards, and he was in some of the Arrowverse crossovers. So you kind of still had. DC could still kind of look at the situation and say, okay, Cavill, we're not sure what to do there. There's like no development whatsoever. But like, okay, we still have our Tyler Superman on the small screen. Elizabeth as Lois wasn't cast until much later, until Crisis, so she wasn't like kind of a thing in that universe. But do you know what I mean? The film side of news for Superman just went completely quiet for so long, and then it sort of turned. I remember everyone kind of looked at the situation and said like, okay, Batman, yes, on the big screen. Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves. Superman, he's, not in the films, no word whatsoever as to like new Superman or Henry returning or any kind of Superman news. And that's where the crying out for, okay, where is Man of Steel 2 at that point? It started to get, as more and more time started ticking on, a lot of people were kind of saying, well, where is, what's happened to Henry? Where's Man of Steel 2 or like a Man of Steel sequel or a new solo film? And there was just nothing for so long. And then the very quick, you just had on the other side with Batman, this very, very quick turnaround of like, okay, let's start doing some, casting auditions and that kind of thing. Okay, we've picked Robert, let's go. And then, they put a 2022 date on it or whatever it was at the time. Do you get what I mean? There's a very kind of like, okay, we can, let's just like leave Superman alone for a bit because we don't know what we're doing. But we still, in that meantime, we happen to have had Tyler on the small screen. It's just interesting to me the way that Warner Brothers kind of left Superman on the big screen in limbo for so long. And I kind of remember saying I think I said to you and a few other people that like it feels like Superman as a character has been relegated to the small screen. Now, if the Superman and Lois TV show is good, then that's great, but there's just a difference there with like, okay, getting Superman's a huge character. Get him on the big screen, but no, he was just relegated to the Arrowverse show. And then obviously the conversation started cropping up about like, he's going to make a cameo in Black Adam. And I remember turning around to you and thinking, wait a minute. So not only have you then relegated him to the small screen in the Arrowverse, again, Tyler's great in that role, nothing wrong with that. But then, okay, you can't get anyone, whether it's Henry or somebody else, in that role for so long, and then suddenly, he's a cameo in Black Adam. Like, what is? I don't know.
Yeah, he's a character more than worthy of his own film. Sure. He shouldn't be just kind of a bit part player in that. Yeah. I mean, it's cool. It's all cool seeing cameos and stuff. But come on. I mean, he needs his own film as well.
Hmm. Yeah.
You know.
I mean,
Uh,
you can sweep some of that to the side a little bit now. Now that we actually have, some news that there's a Superman film for the
yeah.
big screen. So it's cool that at least some development has taken place. But the main point I was trying to make there is there was no Superman film news for so long, and Batman was like, okay, Pattinson
Yeah.
in the role, done, kind of thing. So
Yeah, I think DC are going to probably start focusing on some of their kind of lesser known characters. When I say lesser known, I don't mean like the really obscure, but like with Marvel, I don't want to get into the whole kind of Marvel v DC kind of thing debate,
uh-huh.
but they've obviously made successes with some of their lesser known characters. I mean, Iron Man is a really popular character right now. He's not an icon like Superman, yet look how much mainstream success in that type Robert Downey Jr. has had.
Yeah, yeah,
Look how many MCU films he's been in, and Henry Cavill's one solo film. BVS, which obviously him and Ben Affleck are the two lead stars in that. I think with the Flashpoint on the Flash movie on the horizon, which is obviously just started filming, thankfully, finally,
supposed to be out
is
3 years
that all
ago.
things. Yeah,
Yeah,
well, it was supposed to come out in 2018 in the summer, but as I said, I think they were kind of waiting to see how the DCU
yeah,
was doing.
yeah.
In all honesty, I think they wanted to see how things were going. I think they were playing it by ear, and it's like I said, Justice League, big spanner in the works. All things are possible now. So with Flashpoint, there's multiple iterations of the characters. So I'd say there's a very good chance it might not be Cavill. A very good chance,
Mm, yeah,
and would explain it. It would explain it as well because with a character like the Flash, he's kind of your backup character. He's not just a guy that runs fast. He's a guy that plays a really important role, in the DC universe, by tapping into the Speed Force. And so now, what question this poses really is, okay, all right, Superman might be changed. Now, they've not confirmed actually if this is part of the DCEU. It's been implied that it is. Implied.
I want to ask.
Is this part of the
Sorry, go ahead.
DCEU?
Yeah,
I'm just wondering if, like, Matt Reeves' Batman, because obviously Matt Reeves the Batman, and I'm liking this. I'm liking the fact it's disconnected to the DCU. I want this Batman film to be its own thing, to be a whole new trilogy, much like Christopher Nolan's was. I'm really liking that fact. Not everything has to be connected, but the Superman film, I'm just wondering if that is part of the DCU or if that is going to be so potentially what we've got here could be two different Supermen.
hmm.
One in this film and one in the future DCU,
Yeah,
or what?
yeah. I want to answer that question with another question. Let's say that this new Superman film comes out and it's in its own universe, right? That doesn't really make that much of a difference to the DCEU. One of the main reasons I'm saying that is because I'm not going to get into the whole they messed it up and didn't connect it, blah blah blah. We've had that conversation before. There is no current storyline in the DCEU. So if you had, let's say, you cast a new version of Lex Luthor or whatever, or if you bring obviously if Jesse Eisenberg's in the film as Lex Luthor, just saying for example, then that obviously has ties back to that. But let's say that you make the excuse that, okay, this has already been labelled as a reboot, so assumedly it wouldn't have Henry or Jesse Eisenberg in those roles. Or who plays Lois in those films? I'll think of her name in a minute.
Well, Amy Adams.
Amy Adams, that's it. Yeah, I could think of
Yeah.
the HBO show that she was in, but I couldn't think of her name. Presumably, it wouldn't have her as Lois either, because that's how a reboot would work. Is it would be a new cast. So they reboot Superman, right? They put the film out there, and then obviously people are going to start asking, okay, does this have any connections to the DCEU? Does it not? Is it a new thing? Is it a new universe? Because of the lack of connectivity. I'm not talking about crossover, I'm just simply talking about connectivity. Because of the lack of connectivity within the DCEU itself, I actually don't think that makes any difference. Because you could say that it is and you could say that it isn't, and I still don't think it would make any difference. Because let's say you get to in a couple of years you get to Wonder Woman 3. Now some of this could change after Flashpoint, as you said, kind of reset button and that. let's say we get to Wonder Woman 3 and that still has no like ongoing story, and then you do Wonder Woman 3, that's kind of like a solo sequel film, and then you do the Superman film, that's a reboot solo kind of film. You could still label both those films as DCEU films, and whether they actually are or aren't, it wouldn't make a because there's no story there at the moment. So because then you don't have a story that you actually have to contribute towards. Do you get what I'm kind of going with that?
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
So in terms of
I think.
Yeah.
I think just to be honest, it just kind of, it hasn't really gone according to plan. I just want to see good films. I just want to, just scrap the DCEU if they have to, and just concentrate on making good films. I mean, obviously, Disney have had a huge success with the MCU, and obviously, that's been executed really well. But they've had
Kevin Feige. Yeah.
Kevin Feige, he's a man that clearly has a vision. They've known what direction they were going in pretty much right from the start. That's what DC is like. And as a DC fan, it pains me and it frustrates. I nearly swore there. It frustrates me. It really frustrates me because you've got over 80 years worth of comics, so many goddamn great storylines, so many rich characters. And no, don't get me wrong, there's been good DC films. I like the Dark Knight trilogy. I like the first two Tim Burton directed Batman films. DC's had some good films. I just don't. Let's face it. They saw the MCU and they thought, you know what, we need to start doing this ourselves. And it was essentially rushed. And that's the problem. They dug their own grave. And it's not all been doom and gloom, but I just want to see just good films. If they're solo, I don't really care if they're connected. I'm looking forward to the Batman because, as I said, it's going to be disconnected to everything else in the DCEU. I mean, look at Superman 1978. There wasn't a big cinematic universe then. It's just people liked it because it was a good superhero film. It was a good movie, and it had a good sequel. I'm quite happy with that. But, of course, when you start to build towards something like, if you're going to have a team-up film, like Justice League, Batman, then, there's got to be connective tissue there.
Yeah, you got to lead up to that properly. Sorry.
And that's obviously, I mean, the Snyder Cut we're getting, and really excited for that, obviously. Because obviously there were plans to do a sequel to that as well, weren't there? I just want to quickly talk about one of the other things. We'll try and make this quite quick. The other casting, Supergirl has been officially confirmed, hasn't she?
Yeah.
Coming to the DCU. She'll be making her debut in the Flash movie. Again, I mean, what's your thoughts on that? No Superman, but Supergirl's there.
Yeah, I am looking forward to having Supergirl in the DCEU and seeing what they do with the character. The actress that's been cast, we're both kind of not familiar with her. It's Sasha Carly or Kali. We're probably pronouncing the surname wrong there, but Sasha, who I've heard is like a daytime Emmy winner.
Yeah, I've heard she's a good actress.
Yeah, I've heard she's quite good. Yeah, and I did see for some of you that don't know, this is probably on YouTube, but you can find it on Twitter as well. There's a video of it's Andy Muschietti, isn't it? That's his name, the director
who directed it as well. Yeah.
A video of him going on a Zoom or a Skype call. Not that there's really any difference. Skype's much better, but going on like a video call with Sasha herself, and weirdly asking her like, "Can you fly?" She gets a bit confused. It's all kind of leading up to something. Interestingly, he pulls out what I think is Henry Cavill's suit, but it's just a Superman suit for that moment. He pulls that out and he says like, "Oh, you're Supergirl." She starts getting really emotional and says that she's going to give it everything that she's got, and she's really happy and proud. She also turned her chair around to somebody and said that she got the role. I don't know who that was, but obviously a family member that was with her in lockdown. But she seems like she's proud to have this role, and like she's going to give it her all. And at the end of the day, you've got two different things when it comes to films. If you have a good actor, like a really good actor that's in a badly written film, it's going to hold the character that they're playing back more. Whereas, because whether or not this Flash film itself is actually good or not is obviously a different question, but all Sasha herself can do, obviously she hasn't got control of the writing and the directing. All she can do at the end of the day is just go into that role and give it her best, and it seems like she's definitely got the passion to want to do that. So yeah, congratulations to her. Obviously, I think that they said something they did like 400 auditions,
Yeah.
which is a lot. I mean, I don't actually know typically myself how many people get auditioned for whatever roles, whether it's TV, film, or whatever. But it's a lot of
Yeah.
people, and she beat 399 people. So yeah, they obviously
Yeah. I
they
mean, they
must have
obviously
seen
see something in her.
something in her, definitely, which is good. Yeah, what do you think, Supergirl in this film?
To be honest, right, I've got no strong opinions at this point in time because I'm looking forward to the Flash film. I'm looking forward to it. At the same
Hmm.
time, there's a level of apprehension. I'm a little bit worried as well. I would have preferred this to be kind of a more contained Flash film, solely focused on the Flash.
Hmm.
But at the same time, now I'm hoping the Snyder Cut is going to change my mind. I like Ezra Miller, but I don't like him as the Flash.
Yeah, I don't like him as the
I
Flash
don't
either.
like him as the Flash. I feel like he's been miscast.
And
But
his suit and his running style doesn't help him either.
yeah, and just
Looks like a
obviously, I
Power
mean,
Ranger.
yeah, loads of forced humour. That's the thing, and
Mm.
obviously, tonally, we're going to get a more serious film, and that I'm hoping most of his lines, if not all of his funny lines, have been cut. I'm hoping.
Mm.
Supergirl. I mean, yeah, I like Supergirl, but if I was Henry Cavill, I'd be sitting there looking at that announcement, thinking, "Hey, congratulations, well done, girl." Oh, hang on a sec, what about me?
Yeah, yeah,
What
kind
about
of.
me?
Yeah,
Hang on a sec. It's
he
been nearly 10 years. Well,
yeah,
not since my last appearance,
since his
but
film.
10 years since we had a Superman film. Sorry, could you do something for me now, please?
Oh no,
Um, uh,
new Superman reboot.
yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
no, yeah, I'm not excited to see it. I mean, I like the character of Supergirl certainly. We
Hmm.
had a film in 1984, which wasn't good. This is way before the whole comic book movie boom had kicked off. It wasn't a good film and stuff. Helen Slater, but yeah, I haven't. I'm not excited. I'm not overly excited. I mean, sure, she'll probably be great in the role. I don't know. And Andy Muschietti, though, I will say this: his casting. Now, I'm going by it, part one and chapter two here. His casting has pretty much been spot on. I've
Yeah, yeah,
liked his casting for them two films. The young cast and even the older cast, their older counterparts. Jessica Chastain, James McAvoy. I thought Bill Hader was great as the older Richie. So going by the casting for them two films, I've got some faith in
yeah,
this guy.
yeah, yeah.
But at the same time, I'm not clamoring for a Supergirl on the big screen.
Mm.
Not right now. Not right now.
Mm. I will just say I don't want to make this a comparison. Obviously, we haven't even seen Sasha herself in the suit, so we can't judge her yet. But as bad as at times the Supergirl TV show has been, because it's been bad at times. Melissa Benoist, I think is how you say her surname, but some people say Benoit, but Benoist, but whatever. Melissa is very, very good in that role. I really, really like her in that role. Now, granted, I've seen her on TV for 5 seasons now because I've seen all the seasons of Supergirl. We're about to have the sixth and final season at some point later in the year. But she will have some boots to fill with that,
Yeah.
because I think it's gonna almost time itself. Now I don't know when the Supergirl TV show is gonna end, but it's gonna start this year, and this Flash film is coming out next year, so it's gonna be kind of right on the heels of the end of Melissa's time as Supergirl. I don't know if they're gonna like kill her off or whatever, but the end of her time at that moment. With the character, so you're gonna kind of have the Supergirl TV show end, and then have Sasha step into the role 6 months to a year later, roughly.
Mm.
We don't know when, of course. Obviously, the show's episodes like 23 episodes and that, so it's going to take at least a few months to even get the show finished. But it'll be 6 months to a year possibly before we go from one Supergirl to another. And I just hope that she's not kind of overshadowed by that, I suppose. Hey, I'm assuming at some point Melissa will maybe call Sasha up and say like, hey, that maybe have a passing the torch kind of conversation. I don't know. So, but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean, I've never actually watched much of Supergirl, as you know. I used to watch the CW shows. I haven't actually watched them for a long time.
yeah.
So yeah, I don't really know the world of the CW and that
Mhm.
at the moment. But yeah. I mean, it's kind of it's exciting times, but it's kind of worrying times for me as well. It's
Mm.
just I said to you before. I've said this I know many times. as much as the DC universe might fail and their films might, not be, I'll always be a DC fan, and I've always got the comics to fall back on. I just wish that their comics would translate and stuff to the big screen better. I just wish they were executed better than what they have been. Because it's kind of a shame. I wish we were living in an era where people were sat around talking about DC. Now, don't get me wrong, the comic fans do and stuff, but I mean like in the mainstream, like the movies and that, where DC, people are sitting around talking about DC like they talk about Marvel. Not that it's a competition, because I think you can like both.
You can like both, but there's certainly an element of competition because they're the two big comic book brands. So that's always where that's going to come from. So
but a lot of the toxicity, a lot of the toxic does come from the fans. Like, oh, DC, I hate Marvel, and Marvel, I hate DC, and all that rubbish.
Yeah,
you can like both. But we'll see the Snyder Cut anyway. We'll see what that turns out like.
Same day as the UK, which is great. So
I'd imagine it'll be Amazon, won't it? It'll be for a
VOD
rental fee, won't it?
Yeah. Probably the same way that Wonder Woman worked, but.
I'm just wondering if they'll have the price a little higher because it's a 4-hour movie.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering. They've actually said, by the way, that even one of the producers at Warner actually said it's best to watch it in segments. Don't watch it in the full 4-hour. They've actually split it. The film is essentially split.
Then just release it in segments. It's not that hard to do. Well, then
you'd be paying extra, wouldn't you, I'm guessing? Unless you lowered the price and stuff, I don't know.
Well, because then if you pay the same price but then just release it 4 segments, you can then just...
Oh, no, I think it's for the people, though, because there are going to be people, myself included, that is going to want to sit there for the full 4 hours. But then there's other people that, they don't want to be sat down for 4 hours watching something. So I think you've got the option. But what they've done, they've essentially split the film into 4 segments. So I think there is actually kind of a start and stop point during the movie. So they've done it like that. So they've actually, from the sound of things, it sounds like they've structured it quite well. I think the film is split with 4 different titles into the movie.
Oh, like chapters and stuff.
Yeah, so kind of a mini. Just treat it like a mini series, really. Really looking forward to that. I said to my fiance, I'd pay £30 to watch it. Seriously, not that it's going to cost that, but if there was a £30 price tag, I'd frigging watch it. I like.
There's a lot of content, so.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's pretty much it for today, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, Henry Cavill, I'd like to see him back. If not, it's a shame. But at least we're getting a Superman film. But it's a missed opportunity if they haven't got Henry Cavill back.
The one thing I'm happy on Henry's side with is, okay, sure, he's let's just say probably not or very unlikely to return as Superman. We don't know that completely for definite, but it's, new Supergirl gets cast, Superman reboot. We've obviously discussed that today. I am glad that a man as talented as that, because let's face it, Henry Cavill's a very, very talented man. At least he's got something that's ongoing, which is The Witcher Season 2, and probably Season 3 and 4, and we'll see, obviously, where it goes in the future. But at least he's got, like, a continuing, ongoing role, and that kind of thing, which I'm happy about. So, yeah. So if you want to see Henry on the future, on screen, The Witcher. So.
Yeah. Season 2 later this year, right?
They are filming at the moment. We don't know when, because obviously you got to take time with all the CG and whatever. So,
yeah. Okay. Well, that's it for today. Matt has actually got his own
website
channel, entertainmenttalk.org, I believe.
That is correct. Yep. You can check me out over there if you want to hear more of me, talking about stuff, TV, video games, films, and Manchester United podcasts. Big game tomorrow, Chelsea. Let's hope that we win. Whether or not we'll catch Man City is an entirely different conversation, but we've got to keep winning anyway. So you can check me out on there, entertainmenttalk.org, for all those things as well.
And for anyone that's interested in short horror films and stop motion videos, a friend of mine has a couple of YouTube channels. Dean Mallison, that's Mallison Films, and Dean Mallison stop motion. He's churned out quite a few short horror films, and done quite a few stop motion films as well, shorts.
Cool.
So, yeah, that's it for today. Thanks to everyone that listened, and take care. We'll say adios for now.
Yep. See you soon. Bye bye.